A crime reporter named Porter became famous for helping find a girl that authorities weren't able to locate. But despite that, he feels a bit depressed as his job as a newspaper writer is starting to become obsolete, and he fears that it would no longer be enough to feed his family. One evening, he attends a party hosted by a business magnate named Hobbs who recently bought their publishing company. Porter notices a beautiful lady named Caroline, and noticing the reporter's stare, Caroline approaches him. She praises his writings, but Porter knows that she needs something from him. That's when the lady invites him to her apartment so she can explain everything. They get interrupted by Hobbs' secretary, saying that Porter's new boss is looking for him. However, when he gets introduced to his boss, Hobbs just completely ignores him. He returns to Caroline and asks if her invitation still stands. At her apartment, Caroline gives him an envelope containing pictures of a diseased body. The corpse belongs to her late husband, Simon, a successful filmmaker who was later seen dead in a demolished building. The envelope also contains small pieces of jade that were found surrounding his body. The police were unable to identify the cause of his death, nor how he even got there since the area is all locked up with fence and wires. Given his fame in finding the missing girl, Caroline asks Porter's help in solving her husband's case. Porter lives a happy and contented life with his 2 kids and wife Lisa, who is a surgeon. He is also getting recognition in his column in the newspaper. The only downside is that he and his wife are no longer getting enough action because of their busy schedules. Porter goes back to Caroline's apartment, and he asks her about her relationship with Simon. The widow started with how they met. She was a broke girl who tried her luck in New York, and one day in a bar, Simon approaches her and buys her a drink. She already knew who he was, and they had a fun conversation together until Simon unexpectedly proposes to her right then and there. After pondering for a few moments, Caroline says yes. Caroline plays some videos that Simon filmed himself. And from that, Porter pictures the filmmaker as an eccentric person who is obsessed with filming everything in his life. Caroline says they were happy in the first 6 months of their marriage, until one night, Simon didn't come home, and that's when they found his body in the demolished building. Porter admits that he found the missing girl only by luck, and he claims that he can't solve Simon's death better than the police. He believes that Caroline knows this, so perhaps she wants something else from him. Caroline points out that he still went to her apartment despite knowing he can't solve Simon's death, so perhaps he also has another reason for coming by. The romantic tension between them starts to get intense, but the faithful husband chooses to resist the temptation and leave. Moments later, the reporter realized he had left his phone behind, prompting him to return to Caroline's apartment. With no response to his knock, he lets himself in, and there, he sees the beautiful widow taking the shower and delighting herself. Caroline catches him watching her, and Porter tries to apologize. The widow confesses that she was thinking of him while doing it, and after a little teasing, the faithful husband finally gives in. Porter becomes interested with Simon's case, so he visits the site where his body was found, wondering if the filmmaker died before or during the building's demolition. Caroline takes Porter to the bank where they retrieve Simon's prized collection, his memory cards which contain raw videos of his eccentric life. The filmmaker loves to play cruel pranks on Caroline, and she sometimes gets annoyed by it. Porter gets a call asking him to come to Hobbs' office. As he leaves the bank, he notices that someone seems to be spying on him. In Hobbs' office, Porter's new boss accuses him outright of having an affair with Caroline. Hobbs says that Caroline has been sending him blackmail videos, and he wants Porter to find the original copy of it. When the reporter tries to decline, his ruthless boss threatens to fire him and expose his affair to his wife. Porter continues looking through Simon's memory cards, but none of them revealed anything helpful for his case. Porter goes to Caroline's apartment. The widow offers him a drink, and the two start to become intimate until they end up in bed again. After their affair, Porter asks Caroline about the video that Hobbs has been looking for. Caroline says she did not send that video to Hobbs as she was also looking for it. Porter asks what was on the video, and Caroline confesses that it is an intimate recording of her and Hobbs. It turns out that her late husband likes to give her sick challenges, and one of them is to video herself being intimate with someone else, and that happened to be the billionaire, Hobbs. However, the next day, Simon took the flash drive and Caroline never saw the video. Porter asks why Hobbs is so eager to get rid of the video when it is something to be proud of, but Caroline refuses to answer. On the way home, Hobbs' goons suddenly appear and beat Porter, demanding the video. Before leaving, they warn him that they will go to his house if he can't give them the tape tomorrow. The next day, Porter continues his investigation until he finds Simon's father, who is living in a nursing home. He asks the old man if his son left him a memory card, but has no response. Going through his things, Porter finds a video camera and takes out the SD card inside it. He receives an emergency text from his wife, and he later discovers that his son and their babysitter got shot in the house by men who were looking for something. After learning that it has something to do with her husband's job, Lisa decides to take her children to her mother's house. Enraged, Porter goes to Hobbs' house, but his assistant says the boss is in London. The furious father managed to get Hobbs' number from him, and he threatens the billionaire that he would send copies of the video to all TV stations if he would not call off his men. However, Hobbs remains unfazed and gives Porter 24 hours to hand over the video or face even worse consequences. Porter plays the SD card from the camera, only to find his hopes dashed as it contains only the video of the old man visited by Simon and a lady named Mrs. Segal. Porter does not want to give up, so he goes to visit the lady. With nobody in the house, Porter breaks in, and there he finds an invoice which shows that Simon has been giving her monthly allowance, plus $5,000 for an undisclosed service. Mrs. Segal returns and gets extremely frightened upon seeing a stranger in her house. The reporter pleads for her help, saying that he is desperate. After introducing himself, the lady calms down because she always reads his newspaper column. Mrs. Segal says that Simon was a best friend of their son who died. When Simon's mother died and his father became busy with work, she took care of him and treated Simon like her own child. When Simon became rich, his firm has been sending Mrs. Segal monthly allowance. Uncomfortable with receiving free money, the lady visits Simon's father in the nursing home twice a week. Porter asks about the $5,000 payments, and Mrs. Segal says Simon had been asking her to anonymously mail video camera cards to a certain Mr. Hobbs. She says that she has one card left, and Porter asks for it. In the video, it is revealed that when Caroline was about to have an intimate moment with Hobbs, the billionaire revealed to her his well-kept secret. When he was much younger, he got mugged, and one of the attackers stabbed a knife into his groin, severing his manhood. He shows it to Caroline, and to pay back for his sweet honesty, she also tells him her deep, dark secret. She whispers it to Hobbs, rendering it inaudible in the video. Porter hands the memory card to Hobbs, explaining that it wasn't Caroline who was sending it to him, but an innocent woman paid by Simon. Hobbs, on the other hand, promises to cease the threat against him and his family. And as a gesture of good faith, the boss hands him a key that they took from Caroline's apartment, saying that they weren't able to identify what it opens. Now that everything seems to be settled, something is still troubling Porter, the mystery of Simon's death. He goes back to the site where Simon's body was found, and he notices a locked entrance to the basement. Using the key, Porter managed to get in, and going through the rubble, he finds the broken head of a jade horse. He also notices a hidden camera installed in the elevator, and later finds its memory card. The recording shows that the couple went inside the building the night before it was demolished. Simon takes out a jade horse, which was given by Hobbs to Caroline. He says that they are locked up inside the building, and unless she tells him her secret before morning, they will be demolished along with it. Caroline refuses to tell him her secret, and the mad Simon breaks the jade horse. He shows the key for the elevator and throws it under the bed. When Caroline goes to get it, her husband puts a chain on her ankle that is connected to the elevator. With Caroline still refusing to tell her secret, Simon swallows the key to unlock the chain, and he turns on the elevator so his wife will be pulled down. Caroline starts telling her story while in panic, but it turns out to be just another sick prank of Simon because he rigged the elevator to stop before she gets pulled down. To her anger, Caroline takes a shard from the broken jade horse and stabs her husband. She then cuts him open so she can take out the key from his stomach. The next morning, Porter meets with Caroline and he shows her the broken jade horse. The widow pretends to be clueless about it, but Porter reveals that he knows what happened. He gives her the copy of the recording, and in return, Caroline reveals to him the horse story. When she was young, Caroline badly wanted a horse, and every time she begs one for her birthday, her stepfather would hit her. Until one night, her stepfather goes to her room and promises to give her a horse on her birthday if she kept secret whatever he will do to her. Her stepfather didn't keep his promise, and when Caroline threatened to tell her mother what he did to her, the stepfather says she would have her horse tomorrow. The next day, her stepfather brings her to the ranch where her horse is waiting, but then the stepfather takes out his gun and shoots the horse dead. After hearing the story, the reporter bids Caroline farewell and leaves. Porter never told Lisa the truth, which led to the wreckage of his already fragile marriage. He visits her one day and sees that she now lives peacefully with their children, away from the dangers brought by Porter. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.